Hi, good morning, everyone. And it's so nice to see a full house in terms of people who've joined the webinar. So let me first begin by congratulating all of you for joining the webinar. I'm sure when you're using this time early in the morning to learn, some of your competitors are probably still sleeping. So a thumbs up on you. You're already ahead of them. Uh, I do hope you enjoy what we are going to do today. You take some interesting learnings with you, things that you can implement in your business. And thanks once again for joining all of you. My name is Arun Rao, and I'll be your facilitator for the day. Uh, so grab your notepads and pen because, as you know, we are not giving out notes. That's something you can capture as you go along. And I'm sure you'll see a lot of value in terms of what we have to share today. Uh, so let's go straight to the webinar. I'll be sharing my screen and uh, the some of the rules of the game. I mean, at any point in time you wish to ask a question, you can always raise your hand. That is digitally. There's an option in Zoom to raise your hand. Please do that. I'll stop and ask the question. Though we booked the time from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I suspect we should be able to finish in about an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll have time for questions and answers. And I hope to have a very engaging discussion. There are so many senior people in the room, business owners in the room. It's lovely to see all of you. So the topic that we have picked for today is, a, a lot of effort goes into generating leads, but there's no sale to show. So basically, value-based, selling. How do you go around selling on the basis of value? This is one of my top webinars. Of course, I'm doing it live, but I've done this a few times, and invariably, the feedback has been amazing. People have taken the learnings, implemented in their business, and seen a lot of value. I have probably covered about close to 5,000 business owners right now, till now, in on this topic of value-based selling, and I hope I am able to provide the same value to you as well. Going straight into the topic. So, what are some of the big takeaways that you're going to get today? So, number one, you're going to see, how all of us are into generating leads, right? How you can easily triple your leads is something we are going to see. Number two, we'll see how you can get a premium pricing over your competition. Also, we are going to see, how at the end I'm going to share something called as a success ecosystem. See, the one thing I always tell people is no matter you may be a self-made man or woman, you've built your life up by yourself. The fact is, we always stand on the shoulder of giants. There is nothing like completely self-made. In fact, I always say even a cup of tea is something we can't make by ourselves because there are hundreds of thousands of people working behind the scenes to make sure the tea leaves come to you, the milk comes to you, the water comes to you, and the sugar comes to you, right? So that's the reason why all of us to be successful in business, also we need an ecosystem. So I'm going to share something about the ecosystem with you. And my one request is this is a crisp webinar. There's a lot of value packed into it. And I've kept some of the most important things right at the end. There is a reason why I have done that. I want you guys to be here till the end. Having said that, let me be put one message up front. I am not going to sell you anything at the end of the webinar. This is not one of those webinars where I show some value and sell you a bigger program at the end. I'm going to talk about the success ecosystem right at the end, and that's essential for all of us. There is no sales pitch coming at the end. So, guys, I hope you derive a lot of value from this webinar. Right. Uh, so these are the topics we'll be looking at today. Going right ahead, why me? A lot of people always wonder who's this person who's talking about. I'm a business coach. I've had a corporate career of almost 25 years, and about 7 years running my own company, which is TDS Coaching. It's a coaching, business coaching, and consulting business. I have started 8 new businesses for my employer. In my corporate career, when I was working, I started 8 new businesses for them and turned them profitable. And being a large MNC, I could see very clearly why they are able to succeed so often. We all know that startups nowadays seem to have a mortality of greater than 90%. Greater than 90% do not see year four. In year three, they are done and dusted. That's not the case with MNCs. They somehow seem to have a formula to be successful. And I have seen that closely. That's what I try to bring for my clients. I've designed and delivered interventions for several global companies. I'm a certified leadership coach, NLP practitioner, and I'm also a master trainer. So I do a lot of train the trainer programs, helping trainers become successful. You can go check my LinkedIn profile. My handle is leadership coach dash Arun Rao. So you can check me out. You can see some of the work that I'm doing there as well. Well, that's as far as my introduction is concerned. But let me first begin straight away with a question. You know, is this a familiar sight for you? You can see a lot of business owners in a room talking to each other, networking. I'm sure some of you might have heard or are members of organizations like BNI or Saturday Club, or there are several of them like Corporate Connection, so on and so forth. So I'm sure you've seen these kind of activities. You know that networking is considered a key to success. So we all know what happens during networking. We get to know each other, we exchange cards. There are even some referrals that get passed. I'm sure some of you are more successful than others. In other cases, the referrals just come and we don't know how to convert them, or we are not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen this. I'm sure you've seen this as well. Digital marketing, right? All of us are aware what digital marketing is. We know of concepts like personal branding. We use platforms ranging from LinkedIn for B2B right up to Instagram for B2C, Facebook, so on and so forth. And of course, Google, Meta, all these options are there, paid ads, so on and so forth, right? Again, something we are familiar with. We are probably spending a lot of money in doing all this digital marketing, personal branding, so on and so forth. How about this one? Email marketing. Slightly older than digital marketing, but there are a lot of people out there who sell databases, and we all know what the accuracy of that database is. There's a lot of emails that we send out. There's an entire science behind how to design the emails, what kind of titles to give so that it doesn't go into a spam folder, or even if someone does get the email, they don't delete it, they open and actually read it. So there's a lot of science and there's a lot of spend that happens for all of this. So my question is, there's a lot of effort and expense that is going into all of this. We spend hours and hours in networking. We pay a lot of money to be part of these organizations. We invest a lot of money in digital marketing, in email marketing, so on and so forth. And all of this is done to get what? At the end of the day, all of this is meant to get this one word that you see on your screen: leads. And there's a lot of effort, money, people who've put in hours and hours and sweat into trying to get these leads. But, and I'm sure a lot of you have already experienced this, these leads do come, but what is the conversion? And when we do start engaging with these leads that they have come and they start talking with us, it always seems to come down to price. You're always getting compared with somebody else. And therefore, so much of efforts to get somebody to your door, but if the person doesn't enter the room, in other words, doesn't get converted into a sale, especially at the price that you expect, then there is a problem. And today, in this webinar, we are going to try to address not how to generate leads. There are digital marketing experts who do that. But my focus is going to be once you have somebody who's come to your door in the form of leads, how do you actually convert it? And that too, not by using the easiest method of converting, which is cutting prices. We know it's easy, but we know it's not right. And in the long run, there's a price to pay for something like that. So that's what the topic is about, value-based selling. So I hope the next hour and a half that you spend with me is going to be a good use of your time, and this topic is something that you see value in. Right. Uh, Let me quickly begin with a short story, the networker story. So there's a business owner who's part of a networking group, could be VNI, Saturday Club, one of these networking organizations. He's very cooperative and helpful, right? In networking organizations, what do we tell members? That you should be helpful, you should be well engaged, you have to give, you have to be seen as somebody who's a giver, and it's going to come around. And somebody is going to come and, make sure you get what you want, right? So, uh, this particular person was also very cooperative, very helpful, and a very good networker at that. So, what starts happening when you're such a good networker? I'm sorry. Uh, he went on to build great relationships in the group, so they went social, they had their personal meetings, face to face meetings, got to know each other, got to know the family, so on and so forth. So there was some great relationship, and he ended up getting a lot of referrals from the group as well. Wow, this sounds ideal. This is great. This seems to be what networking is all about, and this networker seems to be doing it right. Built great relationships, got great referrals. But what happened at the end of the year? He probably got about 43 referrals at the end of the year, and there were zero sales. So this is a problem. See, a lot of networking organizations, in fact, digital marketing and all of these forums are able to get you leads, and we place a premium on leads, but that last mile from leads to conversion is where a lot of the gap seems to happen. So let's understand how this whole concept works. So if you are that kind of a person who's able to generate leads, but when it comes to conversion, either your conversion percentage is low or you're having to slash prices. And after doing all of this, if it still comes down to price, then there is something missing. And if you are that person, then what's going wrong? Let's try and understand that. And what I want to do today is focus on this one particular, parameter that I'm going to talk about. What lies between a lead and a sale? So there is a lead, we have to take a leap in order to make the sale, but there is something in between this lead and the sale which seems to be, this elusive thing which is there, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today. So what is this one thing that is between lead and the sale? And I'm simply calling it as value. And it is this value which is there, that you are able to demonstrate to the lead who has come to your door, that makes him say that, okay, looks like I want to go in for the sale and I want to go in for the purchase, which means that it is a sale for you, right? Now, this term value, I'm sure you've heard it many times. It's a word we seem to throw around, we use, but I think we need to understand the term value a lot better. We need to know what it takes in order to actually generate value, and what does this word value actually mean. So let me show you a very simple example. But before that, it's important to understand this simple concept, that when does the customer decide to buy, right? So a customer has entered into a discussion with you because maybe there's interest in the product or the service that you're offering. But at exactly what stage of this discussion or engagement that you're happening? By discussion, I mean it could either be face to face or email or WhatsApp or through your website. any one of these channels, when you're engaging with a customer, at what stage does he say that, okay, now I want to go in for the purchase? So when does the customer decide to buy? And this is a big question. The answer, difficult to execute, simple to understand. Let's see that. It's always a question between value and price. Okay. So imagine this weighing scale. You have value on one side and the price on the other. So the exact point in time when the value is seemingly heavier than the price, you are able to make that sale. The conversion actually happens. So to make the value side heavier, there are two ways to do that, right? There are really two ways to do that. And let's understand what are the two ways. There is an easy way. So can somebody tell me, when it's value versus price, you want to make the value side heavier, what's the easy way to do it? You can just
Reduce the
type in the
price.
chat box.
Reduce the price.
Absolutely. So somebody said, you can simply reduce the price and the value becomes heavier. And we tend to, usually take the easier route. We say, hey, there's competition, everybody is offering this price, I have to reduce the price. Easy, convenient, but not really beneficial for us as business owners and sellers, right? And that's the thing. So the right way obviously is to add value and make the value heavier, but easier said than done. And today we are going to go a little deeper into this whole concept of how does one actually make the value side of the scale heavier so that you get better conversion. But before that, a quick question, and this is important to understand. Who decides the price of the product or service? So you have the seller and the customer, right? There are two people in the engagement. Who decides the price? It's always the seller, right? It's we who are selling. We decide, okay, this is the price that we want to sell at. Of course, people can always say market decides the price and all of that. But again, it's the seller who decides to sell at that market price. So it's the seller who decides the price on this scale. But the thing is, who decides the value of the product or service? And this is where there is a little bit of disconnect, right? As a seller, you can decide on the price, that's in your control, but the value seems to be in the control of the customer because it is he who sees what value there is. Okay, he who decides whether this is valuable or not. Thanks, guys. Some of you are engaging me in the chat box, so that's wonderful. Please do keep those comments coming. So, on the one hand, the seller is deciding the price. The price has a fixed number. You say that I can sell for 100 rupees, 1000 rupees, whatever it is. So, it's a number. On the other hand, the customer decides the value, and there is no number, there is no quantification for value. Value is something in the mind of the customer, it's a perception, it's something that they have in their mind. So this is the disconnect which we are trying to bridge. The seller and a fixed number, the customer and an esoteric concept, okay, in the mind. We have to bridge this gap if we really have to be successful as business owners, and we have to sell on value. So that's what we are going to touch upon. I'm just setting the context, guys. We are going to go deeper into some of these concepts. Right. Uh, I'll take a very simple example to start with, and then we will go to, some maybe that's more relevant. I'm sure you've gone, in the evening to a park and you've seen somebody like this on a hand cart selling, Wall's ice cream or one of those ice creams, quality ice cream. He's selling this on a cart. So let's say the price of one of the products that he's selling, a cup or a cone, is just rupees 30. Okay, so not a high value product, just 30, or a high price product, it's just 30. And then you have some others in the garden as well. You have this father who's got his two kids in the garden. And obviously, the kids, when they see the ice cream, we all know what happened to kids. So they'll immediately start saying, Papa, Papa, can you buy that for us? Now the decision make the seller is this ice cream wala here. He has decided, उसने decide कर लिया है 30 रुपए में बेचना है. That's the price at which I am selling. And the buyer here, the influencers are the kids, but the decision maker here is the father, right? So he is deciding whether to buy this product or not, and he is obviously trying to assess what we call as value, to see that what is the value I'm getting from this and whether I should buy the product or not, right? Now, in this very simple example where the father has to decide whether to buy the product or not, it's just 30 rupees. It's not a big deal at all. For two kids, okay, 60 rupees, two ice creams. Not a big deal. But even at a purchase which is, at this lower price, at the back of his mind, there is always some chatter going on, some price versus value balance that is happening. What do you think is valuable for the father? Anyone? Please go ahead. You can use the chat box or maybe even unmute yourself and speak. Feel free to do that. What do you think the father is thinking and weighing before saying, okay, let me buy the ice cream? What is the value he's considering? Right. So, price. So, sugar, Sachin says, great. Quality of ice cream, health. Okay. Delight of child versus health of child. Quality, sugar, hygiene. Brilliant. Fantastic, fantastic, guys. Right. So even for a product which is such a low price, there are so many things going on in his mind, right? Is this hygienic? And that's where a brand makes a difference. So when we say, there is value attached to a brand, when you see a Walls ice cream, you'll probably say, okay, this is a brand I know, and therefore, maybe hygiene and quality is not such a concern, right? Delight of the child, as some of you mentioned, yes. And to me, to my mind, actually, one of the biggest values I can think of. So, a couple of more have come. So, they're saying happiness of the child, yes. Season, yes. Okay. Uh, okay, one more way to look at it is to say that, you know, let me as a father have my peaceful peace of mind here. These kids are eating my head. Let me just give them the ice cream and shut them up so that I am at peace. Even that could be something the father is considering and saying, right, let me buy this. So these are the discussions he's having with himself in his mind before he makes this particular decision that I want to go for the ice cream. So when we say value, okay, it's a very deep subject, and there are a lot of psychological thoughts and processes that seem to play a big role as far as value is concerned, right? So, with this simple example, just to drive home the concept and set the context, I want to go a little deeper into this topic. So, what is valuable, right? So, we have to understand what is valuable, and there is this concept called Teho, which means to each his or her own. So, for what is valuable is for each person, it seems to be unique. Every person seems to think a little differently and take something that is valuable. For some, it could be delivery schedule is important, an outcome commitment. So, for example, a coach saying that I'll help you double your business, that seems to be valuable. A guarantee, okay, there's 3-year guarantee or warranty or those kind of things. Job security. Okay, if I buy this, my job will not be a threat. Family happiness. We just saw that desire for profit, fear of loss, appreciation, doing good for others, respect in society. There may even be personal values, and so on and on and on. Actually, it's unlimited, the list of what is valuable for people, right? Guys, please feel free to even take screenshots of this, so you can obviously look at some of these things. So this is what is actually valuable for people. Now I found something interesting in film, so let me kind of share that with you. But before that, I want to make sure that the computer sound is also shared. Yeah, the sound is shared. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen this film called Band Baja Barat. Okay. Very interesting movie, brilliant movie. But I loved this scene. This is just a 50-second clip. Guys, I want you to listen to this very, very closely. It's a beautiful scene. I'm sure you'll love it. Okay. And we'll have a quick chat at the end of this. Okay, guys. So a quick chat. I mean, you've seen the video. I'm just stopping sharing for a minute. You've seen the video. I hope the audio was audible. Could you all hear the audio? What he was saying? Was it audible, guys? Yeah? Okay, great.
Yes.
Uh, so, what's your thought? What are some of the thoughts you have? Some of you can unmute yourself. Anyone just raise your hand, unmute and speak up. When you see the video, what comes to mind and what are your thoughts that you have? Anyone?
Yeah,
So the Ranveer
he
Singh is gonna sell for the first time. So I think he's convincing by saying some of the past experiences, like the person sitting was some of the like me to say, he was the business owner in some of the tire industries. So he started like him. So he's asking a chance for him. So he's convincing for his selling.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Raja.
He was
Anshul,
yes,
you've
very
raised
confident. He
Anshul,
was very
you've raised your
confident.
hand. You want to go for it? Yeah.
yes,
So I think Arun, he is aware of
yes,
what the seller would say. In this case, it is that he's trying to be asking for that man's
yes,
daughter's
yes.
hand,
I,
and he suspects that what could come against him is probably, that he has no experience in something. So he's taking the person back to and trying to sell the value of that the first timers don't always being a first timer is not a criteria
Okay.
for rejection.
Okay. Thanks, Anshul. Lovely share. Anyone else? Somebody else wanted to speak. Yeah. Yes, Sachin.
Yeah, so basically, I feel that it is more that he's studied, he's gone through that what are the questions that somebody will ask, and he's already prepared for that answer. And he is, before that person actually is saying that, he knows that, that this is the main value proposition that I have to say that. And if I say that, I might, have a chance to click the deal. So
Okay.
that is, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. I think the fact that you anticipate the objections was critical. Namita has put in the chat box something interesting. She says research. And I think that's a wonderful point. So clearly, in this case, Ranveer Singh has done his research. Ranveer Singh, having done the research, he's looked at the history of this guy. Okay. Somebody has said it was audible but didn't understand. So let me quickly explain. The two of them, the lady and the guy there, are both wedding planners, and they are bidding for this high profile wedding. And being first timers, they have been asked the question, look, I'm spending crores on this wedding. Why should I give you first timers a chance? And he tells a story saying that talking about first timers, 40 years ago, there was one gentleman who wanted to start a tire business, and he wanted to manufacture the first cycle tire. He went to his dad and asked for support. His dad said, okay, I don't know if he can do it, but let me trust him. Let me give him a chance. And today, the gentleman sitting in front of me, which is the girl's father, and he's telling the story. He is Tire King, and you can see the pride on that the father's face that somebody has praised him. So the value that this guy has given to this particular customer, potential customer, is that he's played with his ego and he's given appreciation for his ego, and that's what converts him and gets the first deal. Somebody had raised their hand. I'm sorry. I was just with the others. Please go ahead, and if you want to add a point, go ahead and make that point.
No, I think it will be a repetition because essentially I was saying it, he was playing to his ego and emotions, and that's
Absolutely, Anurag. Absolutely. So that emotion and ego as a value was something this guy had identified, and that is thanks to research. So value can come in so many different forms, and we have to understand that, right? Now, it's okay to see in a movie, it's okay to talk about the concept. I think all of us understand the concept of value. Is there a process? Is there a method to this madness? Uh, Madness because it seems very vague. Each person is different. It's a concept in their mind. So how do you bring some structure into it? We will look at the next part of the presentation today, right? So going ahead, let me share my screen again. So,
इंसान की
sorry. So the question I think all of us need to know is what is valuable for my customer? Do you know what is valuable for your customer, right? So that is what we are going to look at. Is there a structure? Is what we will look at. And for that, I'm going to take some examples, guys. And before the example, I want to touch upon something, right? We all belong to a certain industry. We all understand the product that we are selling or the service that we are selling. Prima facie, we even understand what our customer is looking for, what might be valuable for the customer, etc. And we start talking very often about the features and advantages and benefits of our products, right? So all of us who've been to some sales training in the past, we have been told about this concept of FAB, feature, advantage, benefit. And we've been told, don't talk about the feature, talk about advantages and benefits of the product, so on and so forth, right? Now, that to a great extent is selling using logic. That is, this is the product, these are the benefits, this is what you will get out of it. That's a very logical sale that happens. But you'll be surprised to know, and I'm sure all of you, as you think back and think of the your own buying experiences, whenever you bought a mobile phone or a laptop or something else, even a box of chocolates for the kids, you know that at the back of it, it's an emotional decision. Emotions play a huge role in actually deciding whether I need to go for the product, which product to buy or not. Okay. So people buy Apple phones today, okay, to a great extent. Yes, there is some logic to it, but to a great extent, it is emotional. It is the pride of having an Apple phone. It is the need, the desire to be appreciated. Somebody looks at, oh, you've got the latest Apple 17, whatever Pro that's come. So there's a certain pride associated with it. So it is these emotions that seem to play a big role when it comes to the purchase of a product. Once you brought the product, once you made a decision that this is what I want to buy, you justify it with the emotion. The reason I bought it is because it has these features, these advantages, so on and so forth. So at the core of decisions is always emotion. And I'm going to show you and prove it to you as we go along. But stay with me till then. This emotions, and there are two primary emotional drivers that seem to be driving people towards buyer. We call this as buyer motivation. And these two drivers simply we call as fear and desire. These two emotions somehow seem to have a very magical effect when it comes to making the buyer positively inclined towards us as a seller. We want the buyer to think of us and say, "Arey, this is the guy, right? There are 10 people, but this seems to be the person I want to buy with us." And that is where, see, there is logic. We all know there is logic, there is price decisions, everything is involved. I'm not negating any of that. But what distinguishes people is this ability to kind of get the buyer emotionally inclined towards you or towards your product. And these two are very powerful motivations, which is fear and desire, right? We'll go a little deeper into this as we go along. And this is what I have done, right? Now, guys, it'll help if you take notes because there are some templates. So you can take some quick notes or screenshots if you wish. Okay. Uh, it is with a specific purpose. There is purposely, I have taken a diesel generator as an example for this case study. Why diesel generator? Because DGs are usually bought by companies, by organizations. There is more than one person who's involved in the decision making. Usually there will be a purchase manager, owner of the company. So for this example, I have said there are two people who are involved, and it happens to through this concept of, does it meet specifications, does it meet price criteria, so all those logical aspects seem to be involved as far as buying a DG is concerned, and there is apparently no emotion whatsoever in buying a diesel generator for a company, right? So now this is where I'm going to bring to you the structure and the concept of value of research, right? So a purchase manager of a company, and that's the first person. Let's say I'm selling a diesel generator. I have sent all my spec sheets and my price quotations and so on and so forth. And the purchase manager of the company calls me for a meeting. And obviously, he's calling 5 other people as well for a meeting, and I am one of those. He's called me for a meeting. What does the purchase manager at the end of the day, what does he want from a DG? Can I very simply say that he says, I need to buy a high quality DG at the best price possible? Correct? In a nutshell, all that downtime and specifications and power and all that can be captured in the quality, this single word called quality. And best price, everybody wants. If you're born as an Indian, you want a best price in everything. That's a given. We all know that, right? So a purchase manager is saying this, I need to buy a high quality DG at the best price. Now, what is the owner of the company saying? Do you think he's saying anything different? No, guys, absolutely not. He's saying exactly the same thing. I need to buy a high quality diesel generator at the best price possible. So both of them are saying exactly the same thing. However, the fear and desire in their mind which has led them to this conclusion is very different. So now we are going a little bit into buyer psychology, guys. This is where you can start taking a lot of notes. So let I share maybe this template with you, and this is what I call as creating the customer avatar. So first we are trying to create the customer avatar of a purchase manager. The purchase manager is involved in, uh, he's the first person who I have to convince in order to get the sale in my favor. So I've said the two primary emotions are fear and desire, right? Now I'm going to try to list down, okay, 3 fears that the person may have, which is going to stop him from buying the product. Okay, might stop him from buying my product. What are the potentially the 3 fears which could happen? Please remember, specification sheet is exactly what he wants. The OEM is exactly what he wants, manufacturer exactly what he wants. So all that is what he wants. But still, despite everything, purchase manager is a human being. He's an employee of a company. He's there for a salary. He has a family to run. So there are fears at the back of his mind in every decision that he's taking. So what could potentially be the fears? Let's look at one, right? The first one. So the first fear that he could potentially have is, if I get it wrong, if I get the product or the vendor wrong, my boss will blame me, right? Every employee, this is the fear that they have in mind. If I get it wrong, my boss will blame me and there will be a problem, a review, and I have to answer questions. Primary fear of every salary taking employee, this is what it is. If I get it wrong. Okay, now think of the person, the human being behind the designation. Okay, behind every designation, there is a human being, and that human being has emotion. So we are now getting to that human aspect of it. The other fear that he could potentially have is my appraisal will be affected. So when my appraisals are being done or my reviews are being done, I'm going to get fired, right? So my appraisals could basically get affected. The third fear could potentially be, well, I might even lose my job. If I get it wrong, the company loses money because of me, because of a wrong purchase. I might even lose my job, right? So these are very human fears which are there in the background. And as somebody mentioned in the chat box, these are things that make people, not contradict the boss, so absolutely. These are very human fears that are there. So guys, use this template, right? Fear 1, fear 2, fear 3, which is there for every person you sell to, right? You create an avatar, use this template of fear 1, 2, 3. And now what I'm going to do, frustration is nothing but I'm going to compress these 3 fears into one sentence, which I can use as my sales pitch, right? So now look at how the frustration can be put. As a result, my career and my family will be badly affected. Now, this is the fear framework in which an employee in a company thinks. Okay, for all the confidence and the designations he has, and the image that he presents in front as a person in charge, the human being behind him has got all this in his mindset. And this is something you should be able to forecast and predict because you know your customers best. So creating the customer avatar is a great strategy when you're going to especially make a sales pitch, right? Now let's flip this. Let's flip this, guys. I hope you've taken notes. It's a powerful template, simple one, but this way of thinking gives a lot of structure to value. Okay, what is valuable? So we'll come to that, right? So that's what we spoke about, right? These are fear. I come to my next template, which is the desire template. Okay, it's exactly similar in terms of desire. So, but the grammar is the opposite. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm flipping the fear and making it completely ulta. And let us see what the desires of a purchase manager could be. His desire would be that my boss will appreciate me, that I took a good decision. So he wants appreciation. That is his desire. I'm just flipping the fear around, right? Just changing the sentence from a negative to a positive. Desire 2 would be I'm rated high in my appraisal. And you remember the third fear was I might lose my job. Here the desire will be I get an increment and a promotion. That is the desire. Very human. All of us have this desire. And if I compress all this and make it an aspiration, I'm able to afford a good lifestyle and people around me respect me. Agree with me, guys? So far, the human being behind every purchase manager, uh, who are thinking, is who are thinking like this. So this is the human being behind the purchase manager. Now this is a great way to create what I call as a customer avatar. I've created a purchase manager who's a customer avatar. Someone mentioned that, yeah, there are 2 or 3 competitors who have the same offering. Absolutely. Same offering is there. And that is the reason I am saying that you can't wish away competition. You can't wish away price pressures. Those will be there. But having said that, amongst all competitors, how do I become the first among equals? How do I become the first among equals? That is what we are trying to achieve. So, this is your purchase manager, right? So, if this is how, and guys, in a what I call as a key account management concept, you're going to have multiple stakeholders, right? It's not very simple. There may be a purchase manager, there will be the head of purchase, there could be a CFO who's involved, and finally the CEO is involved. So there could be 4 or 5 different stakeholders. What we need to do, if we have to be ahead among of the equals, okay, there's competition, there's everyone. I'm trying to be get that extra 1 inch and go ahead of equals. I need to be able to make these customer avatars for each and every person who is there, right? So we've got an avatar of a purchase manager. Now let's go to the sale. Now that I have an avatar, how do I use it? I've done so much effort, put together an avatar. How am I going to use it? So coming back to the case study, now when I am sitting in front of the purchase manager, okay, guys, once again, let me tell you, I'm simplifying this concept, making it simple. Of course, when you sit in front, the value you add comes from so many different things, your brochures, your web pages, your recommendations, customer recommendations from the past, so on and so forth, right? Everything matters. And trust me, we all do a good job. We do great websites, we do great brochures, we all have, we make sure we highlight only people who will give good recommendations. So we do all of those things. But when here I'm trying to build a relationship with the purchase manager in front of me. So how do I touch that emotional button? That's what I'm trying to say. We've created the avatar. Now let's use the avatar. So look at this, the sales pitch. I'm sitting in front of the purchase manager and I say, in the last 10 years, I've been working in this field. I've heard some horror stories about product failing and service not being provided even by some reputed vendors. My USP is I provide service within 2 hours, half an hour, whatever, in the middle of the night. In fact, now this last part is where I touch the emotion, right? I'm saying, in fact, my last client, the purchase manager of XYZ company, said that he got a lot of appreciation and accolades from his boss for working with us. Okay. Now, what have I done? I have understood that at the heart of this person is the fact that he wants his boss to appreciate him and get accolades. And somehow, very subtly, I have included this into the pitch whilst he is convinced about all the logical parameters because you've sent your proposals and your data sheets and everything for the DG earlier and the price. Now he is assessing the human and you've managed to touch an emotional chord. What did you say? You said my last client got lots of whose purchase manager got lots of appreciation and accolades from his boss for finalizing us. Now this is where the emotional touch kind of immediately makes a difference and there is that closeness which is there. Does this mean you'll get the order? No, guys. Not 100%, this is not going to happen. All I'm saying is if you are able today to convert 10 out of 100 leads that you're generating, if your conversion is 10, you may be able to convert 20 or 30. You'll still lose, the others. And that's going to happen. That's the law of probability. But here, by using value-based selling as a concept, you are able to get the person to your side by using the value. Now, let's understand, look, this worked for the purchase manager of a company when you're saying appreciation and accolades. The owner is a completely different animal, right? Now you have to pitch to the owner. He's kind of like the purchase manager has liked you and he has said, oh, on Friday, can you come and meet the owner because he's the person who will ultimately finalize. I'll set up a meeting for you. Now, when you're going to meet the owner, you're obviously not going to go with the same set of tools. You need a different set of tools. So I'm now going to look at the concept of customer avatar again with the business owner in mind. Potentially, what could be the fears that a business owner has, right? So I don't have to tell you guys, I'm sure all of you are thinking, and I can imagine some of you are already typing in the chat box. So for a business owner, the fears of buying the wrong product or finalizing the wrong vendor are very different. His fear is, number one, well, my factory might have a downtime. If it doesn't go up and running exactly when I need it to. And if I don't get the support from the vendor when I want, it's a big problem, which means that my production might get affected. Okay. Uh, then, okay. Also, yeah, somebody mentioned business continuity of the vendor. Absolutely. If you feel that's critical in the business, please include that as well. And third fear could be, you know what, if my production is affected, my customer delivery will get delayed. Okay. And as a result, my frustration is if I have to compress these three fears into one, my frustration could be, well, not only will I lose money because production downtime is there, but even my market reputation could take a hit. Customer is not happy because I was not able to deliver on time, right? So, depending on the industry, the business owner, I'm sure these fears will change. You know your customer the best, okay, and the frustration will change. I'm just using this as an example, right? So this is exactly how a business owner thinks. He is not thinking job security or promotion. He is thinking profitability. He is thinking market reputation. Okay, so that's the concept. And again, if I take this further and flip it around in the desire section so that I can create my own sales pitch for the owner, then my desire would look at something like this, that the business owner will say, I should have zero downtime. My full capacity should be utilized. My customers should be delighted with me. So if I compress it, essentially what we are saying is the aspiration is that the business should be extremely profitable and my reputation should be on top, right? So that's what we are trying to say here. Okay, so if I have to use this, again going back to the example that we took of the diesel generator, and now the sales pitch I am making to the owner of the company is a little different, right? So the first part could be similar. In the last 10 years, I have been working in this field. None of my clients have had downtime more than 2 hours or 1 hour, half an hour, whatever is relevant you need to put there. We respond even in the middle of the night, so our clients never have to lose production. We realize that in today's business world, our clients can't afford to lose money, brand image, and their clients' trust. We are our client's partner in success. Now, this has got all the right emotional triggers as far as the owner is concerned. Now, the owner is thinking, this guy seems to get my problem. He seems to be talking my language. He seems to be talking about what is most important for me. And he wants to be my partner in success. So, emotionally, this is the right partner, right? Please remember the specification sheet, the company manufacturing, price, longevity, those factors all matter as well, right? But here I'm getting the using the emotional button while making sure the logical are all in place. Once again, there's I'm underlining this for the 10th time, but I don't mind doing this. This is not a substitute for what you're already doing. What you're already doing in terms of making sure great service, right pricing, so on and so forth, it's not a substitute for that. This is an add-on to what you're already doing, using the emotional lever to make sure you're able to get that connection and improve your conversions, right? So that's what we are trying to do here, right? So this is how we try to add value by bringing even the emotional concept. We all add value logically by adding features to the product and guarantee, warranty, and so on and so forth. We need to do all of that. There's no running away. But the last inch that you can add is by adding the emotional connect with your client. And this, my guys, my dear friends, is what is going to take you to the next level. So, quick top 10 tips that I have for you. Always research the industry, the customer, and their industry. Now, understand the lingo and jargon of their industry and incorporate in your message. By this, I mean that you need to understand, do they say downtime? Do they say something else? Okay. So these are the words that their fears and desires that they have. What are the words that they use in their industry? We need to use those words. That's what builds connect. Always address the emotional need. Don't just go logical. That's required, but add this. And yeah, don't try to sell. People can smell through that. Add so much value that the customer wants to buy. And that last part is where you sell. You have to get him, to the part where he's salivating, saying that this is exactly what I want. And that's when you kind of sell. And yeah, this may not be possible. Sometimes the proposals, especially in tenders, the price needs to be upfront, guys. So I'm not saying this can be done everywhere, but especially if you are having a face-to-face discussion, price finalization, etc., never reveal your final price till you've added enough value, so much value that he is 90% sure he wants to go with you. Then the price starts mattering a little less. Okay. Like I said in earlier, in India, if you're born, then bargaining is your birthright. You can never run away from that. People will bargain, but at least they'll bargain a little less if you're adding enough value and making them salivate, so that you'll get that 2 paisa more, and that 2 paisa or 2% more makes such a huge difference to our bottom line, right? Okay, guys, at the starting, I told you that I'm also going to end this by saying we are not alone. So, whilst what I have shared is something that you can do alone in your business, there's a need for an ecosystem, because as some of the people have pointed out in the chat box, business is not so easy, Arun. कि आपने PPT में दिखा दिया, you showed certain concepts and values and things will transform. Of course, I understand, I run a business and I work with a lot of business owners, so I know it's a lot more difficult. And there is a need for an ecosystem. There's no need to fight that battle alone. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the last part. So be with me for the next 5-10 minutes, and then we'll open up for questions. I love this line. This is an absolutely perfect line which says to be in business is to turn problems into opportunities and challenges into growth. This is in a nutshell saying that there is no way you can run away from problems and challenges. It's going to happen. It's the most beautiful thing that can happen in your business, because only then you have a chance to convert them into opportunities and growth. I love this line. I think this is so true for me, my business, and for clients I work with, right? And I have always seen, as somebody said in the chat box, business is a team sport. So, do you have a team or an ecosystem working with you to make things happen, to support you? Okay, most of us are run either proprietorships, LLPs, or private limited. And even in private limited, in most cases, it's a single active owner or maybe a couple of family members who are involved. Is that a good enough ecosystem? So let's try and understand. When it comes to problems and challenges, what are the options that we have? Number one, we could figure it out on our own, and we try to do that often. Arey yaar, I'm stuck here. What do I do? Maybe I can try this. Maybe I can try that. If it's a family run business, if there's a family board, you could reach out to them, check up with them. If it's a partnership business, you have a business partner, non-family, you could discuss with the business partner. You could have a coach like me who gives an outside perspective. Okay, all great things, but each one of them has certain limitations, right? So the problem is when you're trying to figure out on your own, you are inside the problem yourself. And when you are inside the problem, it's very difficult to get a different outside perspective. If it's a family board, again, all family members, they are all aligned, they tend to think similarly. Even the same problem with your partner is also inside the business. So the options and solutions that come tend to be very limited. You're unable to think outside the box, you're unable to think differently. What about a coach? Yes, a coach brings an outside perspective. he brings a perspective of having seen a bunch of other businesses, but still it is one individual's perspective. So there is a limitation, right? There could be a problem that the coach has not seen enough, and therefore the solution or the recommendation from the coach is coming from a limited perspective. So all these problems are there. So this is a challenge when dealing with your own business challenges. So what do I mean by an ecosystem? How would it be, for example, if you had an independent advisory board, all comprising business owners who have exactly similar business revenues as you. So if somebody is in, say, 10 to 25 crore bracket, you have an advisory board of people, different businesses who have that, and they are all working to help each other. It's a board. They are all working. They are all trying to help each other with their problem. They are sharing their practical experiences. And plus, additionally, there is a coach to work with this advisory board to help you plan and execute. Because see, what will happen if the advisory board, 10 people give you 10 recommendations and you say, okay, let me pick one or two to work with. Who will work on it? It's you and your team, but someone has to, work with it. So additionally, you also have a coach. Now, this is what a success ecosystem looks like. If you look at the best of companies, okay, you look at a Mahindra, a Tata, and Infosys, and look at their board of directors. You will see independent directors from academics. Mahindra has Godrej on his board of directors. Godrej has Mahindra on their board of directors. So everybody who is successful knows that you need multiple perspectives from people senior enough who are going through the same challenges that they are, and that perspective actually helps them to become those great companies, right? So everyone knows that, and that is the challenge that a lot of the smaller businesses, private limited companies have, that the diversity of opinions, diversity of thoughts tends to be a little limited. You are in your own cocoon, in a sense, right? So this concept is actually a beautiful concept that has now come to India in a big way. This has been around in the US, in Canada, in even in some of the European countries, and that is what this concept has actually helped the small American businesses go from, say, $500,000 to a $50 million kind of a business in 10 years, 20 years, because they have worked with this concept and have created the ecosystem that supports them, right? So this concept has now come to India, and I wanted to share that with you. You can also have a similar ecosystem for yourself. What I want to introduce to you, please Google and check out after this meeting as well. There is a new concept in India that has come called as the alternative board. Okay. I am a coach on the alternative board as well. So the alternative board works on exactly the concept that I have just told you, that this organization gets together 6 to 8 entrepreneurs of a similar business revenue scale, gets them together and forms a board with a coach associated with the board. The board meets once a month. Each month, the business owners who are part of the board, they table their concern or their focus area, what they want to work on. The other board members give their practical solutions, recommendations, maybe even they might even share the vendors that they have, a CRM service provider that they have, so on and so forth, who can help the business to overcome and scale their business. And there is a coach who is going to support each of the business owners to make this recommendation true, right? This is the concept of tab as a board. This is an example of Susan Crawford. She is an US based business owner, a lady who is now in her 70s and a tab member. So when she became 17 years ago, she became a member of tab. Today she is 5x of what she was. she was able to, delegate, empower her team, because earlier she would be involved in everything herself, which is one of the biggest problem that Indian business owners have, that Manali में छुट्टी कर रहे हैं लेकिन half the day is spent on the phone कि business में क्या हो रहा है, okay, not with the family. So she was able to do that, and apparently she takes 12 weeks of vacations annually. That'll be a dream to do in India. But yeah, this is in the US, so she's doing that. And yeah, she values the membership and guidance. Now in her 70s, she has a succession problem. In the sense, her next generation are not interested in this business of hers. So her business incidentally was of park equipment for children. She would sell all the park goods, your slides, seesaws, etc., so on and so forth. So in her 70s, she wants to exit the business, no one to take over. Thanks to Tab again, she is able to get a much higher price because it's a self-sustaining business, and people from her board are helping her to kind of liquidate that business, right? So this is the concept of Tab, which has now come to India as well. And basically, guys, you have a choice. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. There's a new way of doing business now, thanks to Tab being there. And I have a special invitation. See, I told you right at the start, I'm not going to sell you anything. So I'm sticking by that. I'm not selling anything. It's an invitation just to attend a sample board meeting. Currently, Atul, do we have you in the chat? Atul, are you there?
No, sir. I am attending from Atul, sir.
Okay, Atul is not there. That's fine. So Atul is also, he's the master franchise for Tab in India. So today Tab exists in almost 18 cities. They are already there in Delhi, Gurgaon, Mumbai, Pune, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, spreading rapidly and creating boards so that SMEs can kind of support themselves. And, what we will do, all of you who have attended the webinar, we are going to send a special invite for you, no matter which location you are in. Whenever there is a sample board, we are going to try and invite you. And we would love it if you just come and experience how the sample board works and see if there is value, does it make sense for your business? And if it makes sense, we'd love to have you as part of the ecosystem. So the way it works is, when you come for a sample board, you come prepared with your specific challenge or focus area you want to. You attend the board, you see how the board works. Does it give you the solutions that you want? Normally for a sample board, we charge 1500. Of course, for participants of the webinar, we've taken a note. There is no cost. You can attend the sample board just like that. But let me also be clear in the same token that we don't want to waste time, neither your time or our time. So this is not for everyone. Essentially, there are certain criteria. We want people who are serious about growing their business, who can benefit from an ecosystem. They are keen on long-term growth, and the cutoff as far as Tab is concerned is 10 CR or more per year. That's the revenue goal that we have as far as Tab is concerned. Now, does that mean that those of you who are below 10 CR, there is no takeaway from the meeting? No. So I'll tell you something for that as well. Obviously, you've already seen the concept of value-based selling. You should incorporate that. That is one big takeaway. But in Navi Mumbai, for Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, we are having a sample board on 24th September. I'm organizing that. So those who are in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, do take a screenshot, and I'll tell you how to. There's also a scan, this thing, a QR code on the screen. You can scan that and register. It's a no-cost registration. You can register. It's happening in CBD Belapur for Mumbai, Navi Mumbai. For those who are outside of Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, we will reach out to you. For those who want to know where I am based out of, I am based out of Navi Mumbai, but as I told you, Tab is present in cities. So we'll reach out to you and invite you for some of these boards. sample boards as and when they happen. Okay, now I told you, I hope you've taken a screenshot. You can scan the QR and register if you wish to, no matter which city you are in. So we'll try and reach out and make sure there's an invitation that comes to you. Those of you, for example, who say that I'm not at 10 CR, I'm less than 10 CR, I'm just at 50 lakhs, 20 lakhs, whatever, or 5 CR, doesn't matter. You can drop a WhatsApp message to me on my number. You can see the number on the screen, 9870108637, with the word value. And we'll have a separate chat. We'll see for whatever challenges you have in your business, how we can help you. So just take a screenshot of this. If you're in the less than 10 CR category, don't be disappointed. There is absolutely a possibility for you to get benefit from being associated with us and growing the business. My company, as you can see, is TTS Coaching, and we can definitely help you there as well. So, guys, with that, I am just stopping the share. I'm stopping sharing my screen. And thank you very much for your time. It's 1.5 hours. So like I said, we will complete it before 2 hours. So I have stuck to my commitment. I hope all of you guys have a lovely day. Thank you for joining us for the webinar today, and hope to see a lot of you on the sample boards and experiencing it. When I did it the first time, I was blown away. It's quite amazing. Thank you so much. All the best, guys.